Welcome back to Josh's Smart Home. If you've been following along with my video series of how to set up an easy and powerful smart home, then you know we've already laid out the basics, purchased some items, installed those, and set up some automations. But how do you really take this to the next level? The one where people are like, what was that? Oh my goodness, you do that? You have that? It's insane. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Some of these odd smart home devices that will really put your smart home in a league of its own. Welcome back to all the regulars. And if you're new here, I've been building out my smart home for about 10 years now, and I want to share with you what I've learned along the way. Up until now, I've focused on some pretty common devices. Mostly we were talking about, lights and plugs and some sensors, the normal smart home things you'd think about, like the water leak sensors, the open close sensors for the doors, and the motion sensors. But really, these niche products are what can take your smart home even further. They can save you time, they can save you effort, they can keep you out of the weather, and really take your home to the next level. And in those cases, we've actually had, different people, either they come over to our house and they're super surprised about something we have, or they're driving by and they actually stop in the middle of the road just to check things out. So let's dive right into these smart home devices that are really niche devices that can take your home to the next level. We're going to start with the tamest of the devices, but one that can save you tons of time and energy, and that's smart vacuums. Yeah, really not too much out on the frill on this one, but it's definitely an important one to mention in this category because it's not your common, if this happens, then that happens. It's really, able to take your smart home to a level where there's autonomy going on, in the background, maybe while you're gone during the day, and it's really helping you out and saving you tons of time with that smart vacuum and smart mop. I have several that I've looked at over the years. I've had Nito, I've had iRobot with the Roombas, and the M6 for the mop, and now I'm with Narwal, and I'm not looking back. The Narwal Z Ultra is by far my favorite thus far, and I have tested that one out in the past, and I look forward to Narwhal's future offerings as well because they have some great things coming. So how does this really help? Well, you can run it while you're gone, throughout the day. Maybe you're at work and the kids are at school, or you can have it run overnight because it's pretty quiet. So you could even run it into the rooms that are adjacent to the bedrooms and probably won't disrupt your sleep. You can do all kinds of things with it to really make sure that your house stays clean, especially if you have pets. I know we have a dog, and it makes a big difference running the vacuum and keeping the floor clean. The second device I want to talk about are smart blinds. This is just getting beyond the fringe here of what you would typically think of in a smart home, but it adds a lot of convenience. It adds a lot of energy savings and also some privacy as well, because you can have things automated based on time, situation, etc. And it really prevents, those ugly drawstrings or the blinds that you have to lift up from the bottom that get stuck everywhere, and you lift them up about 10 times to get them to move. It's really convenient. You can open and close them from other rooms. You can do all kinds of things with these smart blinds. Watch this. Hey, close the master blinds.
All right, closing 3 blinds.
And just like that, the blinds are closing, and I'm on a different floor of the house even right now. So it's super easy, super simple. And my favorite are the Blinds Magic Smart Blinds. I have these hooked up via Zigbee into our Home Assistant integration with our Home Assistant Green, and I have about 6 blinds, and these things have worked perfectly, minus the one time that I forgot to charge the one, and I couldn't figure out what was going on with it. And then I tried to charge it with a battery pack, and it wouldn't work. So make sure you plug them directly into the wall if you're doing that. I'm thinking about upgrading those with some solar panels because they do sell those as well. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to put the video up here where I talk about the Blinds Magic Smart Blinds, and I definitely recommend that product because it can add, the convenience and the privacy and, just the energy efficiency of blocking out the additional heat over the summer and that type of thing. The privacy obviously is maybe when you're coming out of the shower, you can tell, your Google or other voice assistant in the bathroom to close the blinds in the bedroom, and it can have those closed. You can also utilize the smart blinds with automations to allow for the natural sunlight to come in when it's appropriate, and close them when you want to have that privacy as well. But now that we talked about the smart blinds, let's move on to item number 3. And this is where we start really going off the beaten path. It's going to get a little more aggressive as we move on, but we're going to start with smart appliances. And the Suvi 3.0 Plus, that's the one that we have in our kitchen, and that's cooked a bunch of meals for us at this point. We definitely recommend not buying the meals from them because I think they're overpriced. But you can go to Costco or Sam's Club or BJ's Wholesale and get a thing of chicken breasts and toss them in there and have it refrigerated until it's scheduled for the time to make those. There's some barbecue sauce on it, there's some veggies in the other one, and it's a pretty easy meal. And it's convenient, and it's right when you want it because you can program that in. Super simple, really neat product. Definitely off the beaten path though, but it can save you a ton of time and money because you're going to avoid going out to eat as often. And like I said, I wouldn't buy them from the company. I would buy the products that you want from one of the wholesale clubs, or from your local grocery store or Aldi or something like that, to save you money and allow you to have the meal that you want, and you know exactly what's in it. So that's really important, as well as we're always getting pumped full of all kinds of chemicals and other things, especially here in the US. So looking at that sous vide allows you to have that home cooked meal, but without all the effort. The fourth smart home product I want to talk about is something for the summer, and that is the pool cleaner, the robotic pool cleaner. We just purchased the Y-Bot, so I'll be making a video about that as I, test that and see how that really works. That is a solar panel, so it can come up and charge itself, and go out and clean as it needs to. So it's really a hands-free thing. You can schedule it with a time, have it clean your pool, and you don't have to worry about whether or not you need to vacuum or that type of thing. Maybe you're going to have a party, you can have it do it overnight or as is convenient throughout the day. And again, not really have to worry about anything. You don't have to plug it in, you don't have to pull it out of the water to charge it or anything like that. Obviously you have to pull it out to empty the filter, but that's not really a big deal, and it has a pretty big filter from what I've seen so far. So like I said, I will be testing that product, and I'll be making a video about that one as well, let you know how that's worked for our pool as we just purchased that. And the final item that isn't always in a smart home, but is one of my favorite at this point, is our Yarbo, which is our robotic lawnmower, snowblower, snow plow, and it has a leaf blower with a trimmer also coming this summer. So really excited to get that trimmer and really finish off our yard. I've been mowing with the Yarbo, and I just wanted to give you a couple of the responses that I've gotten from my neighbors. So my one neighbor said, "I wanted to tell you the mow lines in your backyard are strikingly perfect." And that's a direct quote from what he said. He's a couple doors away and definitely saw all of those perfect lines in our yard. Another neighbor is allowing me to cut a path through their field, because typically our kids and one of the other neighbors, their kids will walk back and forth, or this neighbor will bring over their child as well. So they're going to let us cut the path through their yard. And when he was texting me, he said that he really likes watching it work, and he said even the dogs sit and watch it go back and forth. So they like seeing the Yarbo out there mowing our field area. We have about 3.5 acres of mowable grass, and it can do the whole thing in about 40 hours from start to finish. That includes the charging time and everything. I've let it run through the rain and everything. The other day I had to pause it for a few minutes because, as you can see here, we did have some flooding on our property, so I was afraid it wouldn't be able to make it back through. But once we got the flooding resolved, it just sort of drained off in about a half hour or so. I was able to resume it and let it finish, and it cut really well, especially with that super soaked grass. We just had a big downpour, a flash flood, and it got caught out there, because I wasn't expecting it, or I would have, prevented it from running at all in that. But I've just been letting it mow through the rain. It does a great job. It mows overnight and has lights on, and it comes back, charges when it needs to, and goes right back out. So that has saved me a ton of time already this summer. I would typically spend a few hours a week mowing and handling the yard, and now I don't really spend any. I just, have it go out. It mows several times as often as I did. It can mow up to 3.5 times a week for our property. I have it mowing a couple times a week. I would never mow more than like once a week. And the lines it puts down are just awesome. It's really neat, really cool. We've gotten a lot of compliments on our yard. It's kept some of the weeds and such down. So our yard actually looks way better with it mowing than when I mowed. And this thing is not just a lawnmower. This thing, like I said, is a snowblower. When I was in Vegas for CES, I actually ran it for the very first time on my driveway snowblowing. I did it right from my hotel room. So it was so cool to be in Vegas and running this remotely at our house in Pennsylvania, all the way across the country, really. So nice features here. Does an excellent job with snowblowing. The plow you can put on the front of the snowblower as well, and instead of running the blower, you just use the plow and push it to the sides of the driveway. They're always making enhancements with this, always making updates to the UI and to the features, so it constantly keeps on getting better as well. But that's not to say there weren't any hiccups, and I will talk about those, really briefly here, but I'm going to make other videos about the Yarbo. There's already some out on the channel, but there will be more in the future as well as I continue to test it, and I'll let you know how it works so that you know whether or not you should spend your hard-earned money on the Yarbo. So a couple of the issues I had. One is we had a swing that got knocked over from the wind, and I didn't realize it, so that was really my fault because we left it go, and it was strong enough to push the swing, and it caught one of the antennas, and it broke it off. So I'm going to take the blame for that one. We did have a malfunction with one of the lawnmower motors. What they did was they sent out another unit and returned our first unit, so not a really big deal, just delayed us maybe a week or so while we were waiting on that unit to arrive. And there was one other incident where we broke an antenna off, and that would maybe be half my fault, half their fault. I was probably pretty aggressive on how I was doing things, but it maybe should have still avoided it. I don't know. But we'll split the difference on that one. So there's been a couple of issues, but nothing huge and no deal breakers for me. Like I said, it's been keeping up on our yard here in the summer, which is absolutely awesome and has saved us tons of time already. A couple of other smart home devices that you might want to put into this category of unique devices would be like a pet feeder with your dog or some type of, other interaction with your animal, your pets. There's certain things you could throw, use cameras, etc. So there's all kinds of devices there. There's devices for gardens, maybe even like bird watching. You have different cameras and feeders and such. So there's a lot of options there as well. And last but not least, there are air quality monitors that you have, integrated in your smart home. I didn't include that one because I feel like that's too close to the motion sensors and the door and window sensors and that type of thing, where it's just a quick automation based on criteria there. So there you have it. There's the smart home devices that are pretty unique and can really customize your home to make it exactly what fits your needs and your lifestyle, and make it maybe really impressive for anybody that comes over or driving by, whatever the situation may be. Maybe it's just your peace of mind, maybe it's your convenience and not having to have an additional responsibility, taking that off your plate. So lots of good, unique items that we discussed today for your smart home. Let me know in the comments section below what your favorite unique item is for a smart home. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. It really helps me out and I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.